well, it was the summer of 1961, and I was 12 years old. And I was at my girlfriend's house, Cindy, and her father had yelled for us to come outside. And when we did, our world was changed, and who we would have become was changed forever. I compare it to that part in the movie The Wizard of Oz where the movie goes from black and white to color. There, right in front of us, hovered a silver ship right above a tree that was between both of our homes. It was daylight. The sky was beautiful. The ship was silver, and it had red, green, and white flashing or pulsating lights. I couldn't tell because they seemed to be going so quickly. It was breathtaking. The sight was absolutely breathtaking, and I willed that ship to stay there. I wanted it to stay there forever so that everybody could see what I was seeing. A small crowd of neighbors had gathered, and no one said a word. I don't even remember hearing anyone breathing. A Novi police car pulled up, and 2 officers exited. I remember tugging on one of the officer's arms and asking him in a voice that went into slow motion, and my voice deepened. And I said, "Is this real?" He never responded. He just glanced down at me very quickly, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen fear in a man's face. We watched as a car came down the dirt road, and it was driving until it was almost underneath the ship, side by side with the ship. And a beam of light came down from the bottom of the ship very slowly, and it was directed at the car. And when it hit the hood of the car was immobilized. I remember starting to jump up and down, screaming, "Over here, over here." The ship tilted on its side, and it spoke to me. It said, "We see you." I realized that the ship was alive. That is when panic set in. And I told one of the officers, "Do something." I clung to Cindy's father like he was my father. "Please. They're going to get me. They're going to get me," I kept telling him. "Save me. It's going to get me." It had now gone from sunlight to near darkness, and I was home in my dad's arms, and he was holding me tightly, and he told me that I was home safe. After that night in July of 1961, it was never spoken of again. I was silenced and given a secret from my dad. It would be September 2011, 50 years later, before I would ever speak of that night again. I do, however, clearly remember that night and many nights after, standing on the headboard of my bed, looking out of my bedroom window at that tree where that ship had hovered, and chanting over and over again, "Please come back and get me. Please come back and get me." I never understood how they were able to remove my memories, but leave me with such a longing for them. I would draw a picture of that ship every year or so, with the car, the police, Cindy, and myself, and I would draw it for my sanity, and I would quickly discard it. In 2011, early 2012, I underwent 5 regressions, and my memories were returned, and I was actually allowed to relive the events of that night. After the 3rd regression, I started receiving messages and illustrations to draw that were given to me. As time continues, my life continues to be filled with high strangeness and synchronicities at an alarming rate. Before I have time to digest one thing, I am on to the next. I'm already working on my 2nd book.